Hi, and welcome to this little video on how to plant tomatoes in a hugel bed. And before I get started, let's talk about the tomato. Because the tomatoes... This is the tomato plant. Now, I grew every one of my tomatoes from my own seed. From tomatoes either I grew last year or for tomatoes I bought at the store. And I've got videos on how to collect seeds from tomatoes. But you'll notice here that I have the tomato in a carton. Well, this is actually stage 2. Stage 1, I have the tomato starting in a small cup, you know, like the small 1-inch pot, right? And then what I do is transplant it here once it gets, the root starts to show from the bottom. So when I start seeing the root in the bottom of that cup, what I do is I plant it in here. Now, I don't plant it all the way to the top. I plant it and I put it halfway. And then as it grows, I keep filling it up with soil, right? And ultimately I get to this point. Now when the plant gets this size, and as you can see there's no more soil that I can add, and I know the roots, I'm going to show you what it's going to look like now in a moment when I open it up. But before I do that, here's one that I planted. There's a bee flying around. A pretty little indigenous, you know what? That there looks like a Cerana. Oh my gosh. This is a Japanese honeybee right there. A Cerana. I have Cerana bees somewhere, so maybe it's my escaped colony, but this is a Japanese Cerana bee right there. That's a honeybee. And this is Multi-Knife Farm. This is the bee. Look at him getting on my clover. He's just loving it, grabbing that nectar. Wow. I'm really... This is the first Cerana bee I've seen on my farm. So hopefully he's going to tell all his friends and they will come and I can maybe beeline and find their hive. What a treat that was to see the Cerana bee right when I started to film. And I've been looking for bees all day today, and you can watch my other video on that, and I can even put a link to it right here. But it's such a hard bee to find in Japan now. So back to tomatoes. So you'll notice what I've done with the carton, and I want to kind of show you the end result. So here's this tomato. Notice I have the carton actually all the way, I open it up, I slide it in there, and I've actually pulled it up. Now what this does is create a water trap. So when it rains, when I pour water on it, all this water is going to go right down into the base of the root. And it also provides support. So this plant is ready to go, and I could actually add more soil, and I have some there that I'll pull up over it. But this now is ready to go. So I'm going to plant one here, and the first thing I do is put down ground cover, right? A lot thick ground cover. This is just grass that it was cut, right? And put this down there first. The next thing I do is just make a hole. And I basically created this tool. You can't find this tool in the store, but if I had money, I would patent it and I would produce these, because I love this tool. Basically what it is, it's a saw blade on a big handle, right? On a nice handle. It's just wood. I found this saw blade, and what I do is it allows me to basically dig, just cut it out, and also before I put it in, I can go very deep and break up the soil for the roots to go down. So my next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a hole for the carton. So I've dug the hole, and I'm just testing to see the depth right now, and that looks excellent, right? So now what I'm going to do is actually open it up, and I'm going to try to lay down the camera here so that I can show you. Alright, so here I am. I've got the camera laid down. Let me pull out the tomato that I just showed you. Here it is. So these pots actually have a seam. So what I do is I look for the seam. So here's the seam, right? And all you do is you just open the seam. It's really simple. Look at me. It opens right up. Look at this here. Open it up here, right? So it's opened up on one side. Then you're going to open it again to the next seam. So basically I have done 50% of it open. And then all I do now is I just turn down the bottom, okay? And take off the corner. Now it's ready to be slide into the hole. Now unfortunately, I'm only one guy on a camera and I can't show you how it slides in the hole. But basically all you do is you put it in the hole and then pull up the carton. So it's really simple. So I'm going to Slide it in. All right, and then I'm just going to pull up on it. And what I'm actually going to do is pull up the carton about 2/3 of the way up and then leave it so it looks like this. So you notice I've got it up 2/3 of the way up, so it's nearly out, but it's not quite out. And I'm going to leave it like this. The reason for this is one is it's going to capture water, as I said before, and put it right down deep into the roots. That's it. Now I'm just going to add soil to it. And there, I'm done. I've added a little water, or actually a lot of water. That's going to settle the soil down. I've got a little, it provides a little support. It catches even more water, directs it down. So this is a great way. The roots are to plant tomatoes. I need to finish my sentences. I apologize for that. I think faster than I speak. So this is a great way to plant tomatoes, and the roots are super deep. This hugel bed is just rich with nitrogen and everything else, and earthworms from all of this clover, red clover, that has very deep roots itself. And this tomato, I bet you, we'll revisit, these tomatoes here are going to do really great this year. So this is my second year planting. So this is a new way, a new system for planting tomatoes that I've invented. I've innovated as a permaculturalist, working on this experiment of hugel beds that I set up basically 2 years ago. This is the second year that I've had working with them. So this is the second spring hugel beds. So they're looking really great. I'm leaving a water source for bees and wildlife to come and drink. It's getting hot now, and my pond is not holding, so I'm leaving water trickling out here for insects, beneficial insects to use. And here is my farm. Nice shaded area. It's nice and cool. There are my beehives, empty, unfortunately, that I made last year. No bees. And my dream is really to have bees all the way down this, but to be honest, I don't have enough food yet to support them. So, especially when I've got people cutting down all my flowers and stuff that I had growing in this area here, to it. So, I really love this farm. I feel like, the owners don't appreciate the amount of work and everything and what I'm doing. I don't think they understand. They don't really understand permaculture, even though I gave them a book to read on it. To them, this is ugly. This looks like all weeds. And, this isn't farming. Even though he's an organic farmer, he's from the point of view that you should have everything in nice rows and everything else and organized. And, the idea of a food forest or just having stuff growing that's edible and everything else is just not something that, that they